Hi there, good afternoon or good evening to you, Facebook. Hope you voted today. But at the moment, you know where my head is, where it was last night, where it's heading now is Dallas Cowboys. In all my life, I've never seen anything like what happened or didn't happen last night. As you join in, just a quick hello to the star of our family, the Bayless household here in Century City, west side of Los Angeles. This is our quote-unquote daughter, Hazel, our 2-year and two. Hi, Hazel. Hi, thank you very much. This is Hazel, our Maltese. Say hi to Facebook, Hazel. Say hi. Like them? Yeah. They love you. They don't love me very much. There you go. Thank you. Hazel's 2 years and 2 months old, the daughter of me and Ernestine. Thank you, Ernestine. And now I'm going to close the door, and I am going to unleash on a team that I still love, but last night left me with some hate in my heart. I just can't get comfortable with it. And I did post something on Instagram late last night in which I took my cowboy hat and my Dak Prescott jersey and fired them into the trash. And that was my rare, raw emotion of the moment. It actually took me about a half hour after the end of the game to even come to grips with doing that much. Because I'm going to say again what I said on Undisputed. That's live every morning, every weekday morning, 9:30 to noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. I'm going to say it again. In all my years of following and supporting and loving and rooting for this team, dating back to October of 1961, I was 10 years old, dating myself. That was the first game I ever attended at the Cotton Bowl versus the then St. Louis Cardinals. Cowboys lost, but won me over for good, forever and ever. But in all the games I've watched, rooted for, lived for, died for, last night was the hardest to swallow. Because last night, everything seemed so right and then went so utterly wrong. Coming off a bye week, going out and landing Amari Cooper, who had his moments last night, 3-0 at home, new offensive line coach, the great Hudson Houtt, longtime friend of mine, the greatest offensive line coach I have ever encountered in my many, many years of covering this league, brought out a retirement at age 75 to try to fix what was wrong, what ailed the offensive line through the first 7 games, teetering, season ready to jumpstart, to jettison, to launch last night at Jerry World, with the NFC East begging to be won. And this team quickly put itself in position to be up 21-0 middle of the first quarter. It smacked of Jacksonville at Jerry World when it was 24-0 at halftime, and Dak Prescott went boom, 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 boom. 4 long drives, 3 touchdowns, and a field goal. That's what it felt like to me. That's what it was set up to be mid-first quarter. And all of a sudden, you know the rest of the story, there was a failure of urgency. There was a failure of energy. There was a failure of the head coach to have his team ready to play last night. Again, the offense got off to sort of a nice warm-up. The offense was able to look like the offense that I imagined it would. And then the worst happened. What looked like, what shaped up as a Cowboy blowout, virtually turned into getting blown out at home by the 30th ranked offense going against the Cowboy defense that came into the game number 1 in the NFL in points allowed. Number 1 in the NFL against a Marcus Mariota who's not very good. He's still not very good even after last night. He's not very good. To me, the more I watch him, the more and I didn't like him coming out in the draft. I didn't love Jameis, but I said I would take Jameis a little over Mariota. Mariota looks to me like a wide receiver without much of an arm, trying to play quarterback, and he throws shot put balls, push balls. He throws push passes that come out of his hand like Nerf footballs with not much velocity. He can be reasonably accurate, but not hugely accurate. And the delivery is so slow that every time the ball left his hand last night, I thought, that's defended or that's intercepted. They intercepted Marcus Mariota no times last night. Obviously, they got him early with the DeMarcus, as I call him, DeMarcus Lawrence Taylor strip sack. And then there's the next unforced error turnover by Marcus Mariota, the handoff. And you just have to go cash, 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 and you're a cash cow because you're rolling, and they would have given up at that point. So what happened from that point forward? Obviously, they get down 1st and 10 at the, 13-yard line? No, maybe the first time was 20-ish. We're around the 20-yard line. And right away, we saw flashes of good Zeke, but we saw the same old offensive line that couldn't consistently win the line of scrimmage and lost the line of scrimmage far more than it won. So we're back to the old bugaboo, which is if you can't win the line of scrimmage, you can't get Zeke going. Now I'm going to be hard. I'm spilling here. Zeke still doesn't look to me to be in great shape. He doesn't look as sleek or as fast as he looked certainly as a rookie and to a certain extent early last year. I'm not seeing that Zeke with that explosiveness. Obviously, if the line can't win, he's going to have a hard time winning. And we saw bursts and spurts and flashes last night, but we did not see Zeke take over the football game. And I don't know how many times Scott Linehan called first down runs that were highly uncreative, unclever. It's just Zeke up the gut, Zeke go find a hole, and he went nowhere slowly. And if you go 0, -1, -2 on first down, you're so behind the chains that your quarterback in his third year is starting to lose confidence. Again, he just had Amari Cooper for 10 days or so of practice, and he was looking for him early and often, which I love, but then all of a sudden he fell right into the old Des Bryant trap. He's completely dependent on Amari Cooper. He's looking for him at the expense of Cole Beasley, who was the team's leading receiver coming into the game. He didn't even sniff a football until the middle of the fourth quarter, until it was way too late. So on that first series, once you wind up with 3rd and 7 from the 20, I'm not seeing the Dak that I saw early last year or all of 2016. I'm seeing shaky body language. I'm seeing too many checkoffs, too many second guesses at the line of scrimmage, and not enough confidence to go option 1, option 2, option 3. He's not reading quickly his progressions and finding the open man the way he did, again, early last year when he outplayed Jared Goff, then Aaron Rodgers, then Alex Smith when he was riding high for the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought Dak was really good early last year. They didn't have Sean Lee, and then eventually, obviously, they didn't have Ty Smith, and then they didn't have Ezekiel Elliott. And I thought Dak had a pretty good year last year. He finished 4th overall in QBR, my favorite stat, which encompasses your legs and your arm and what down and distance you make all your plays on. It's a much better stat than passer rating. Dak finished 3rd in the NFL as a rookie after leading much of the year. Lost it on the last week when they just mailed it in at Philadelphia. And then last year he plummeted all the way to 4th. And my partner on Undisputed, again, it's 9:30 to noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Every weekday, my partner Shannon Sharp, the Hall of Famer, gave him an F. Dak an F for last year. An F for finishing 4th in QBR. They finished 9-7 last year, only a game out of the playoffs, and they had their moments, and they had the dark cloud of Zeke hanging over that team the whole year. Would he be able to play? Would he be suspended? Finally, he was suspended. Would he bounce back? He went to, Cabo, and really got in big-time shape. Didn't really translate, and I'm not sure he's in big-time shape now, and it really disturbs me. So we get to the 3rd and 7 play, and what does Dak do? He throws a fade to Amari Cooper that is just pathetic. It's not even close. It's out of bounds. It's not even a good jump ball, and Amari was completely blanketed on the play and had absolutely no chance. Field goal attempt, and you know the rest of the story. Wide right, field goal kicker has already gone south. And here we go. Next time down, they get it, whatever it was, first and goal at the 6, and they cash on a little option route. Amari on the little in and out route on Malcolm Butler, and he beats him to the flag, and it's 7-0. Then the next time down, now we're getting to real disaster. Came the turning point of the season. First and goal at the 4, turns into second and goal at the 6, and you know the rest of the story. Dak Prescott fades with that bad, sort of gun-shy body language. He fades, and off his back foot, he doesn't even look for anybody else. He lobs it, a lollipop throw, in the direction of Amari Cooper, who is covered by 2 Titans. One of them is Kevin Byard, who simply last year made first-team All-Pro at safety. First-team All-Pro, blanketed, in and out. He's got a man behind him and a man in front of him. He's about as covered as anybody's ever been in the history of an end zone. That's how covered he is. If he were 7 feet tall, heck, if we're even talking about Rico Gathers, the tight end, who I thought would have some impact this year, has had none or virtually none. Rico's 6'6", but even even if he were 7 feet tall, I'm not sure that Shaquille O'Neal in his prime could have made that play. I'm just not sure about that. That's how bad the throw was and the decision was. And obviously the whole idea of getting Amari Cooper is that. You want 2 men on Amari Cooper because there have never been 2 men on any other Cowboy receiver earlier this year. And that means, if I do some subtraction, wait a minute, maybe Cole Beasley is single covered. I'll bet you he had a step on his man. I couldn't see the coach's tape. I don't know, was Alan Hearns in there? Did he have a step? Was Michael Gallup in there? Did he have a step? Somebody somewhere, Blake Jarwin might have had a step on that play. I'm not sure exactly who or where, what was happening the rest of the end zone. Somebody was open in the end zone, and he throws it quickly because he senses, feels, sees the rush coming. It's a panic throw. Wrong place, wrong time, and Kevin Byard puts it in his hip pocket, and then he put the Dallas Cowboys football team in his hip pocket. This is where this team lost me. This is the turning point of the year, and I'll be the first to admit, I am out on this year. I have given up, and I know the division is still remotely winnable. If they went and won at Philly next, Monday night? Is it Sunday night or Monday? Sunday night, right? Sunday night, because it's a short week. Then would they jump back into I guess you could make a case. Washington got crippled the other day against Atlanta, lost a couple offensive linemen. I don't know. Philly's just better than Dallas because they're mentally tougher than Dallas. So Kevin Byard runs all the way from the back line of the end zone to the star, and he goes 2049er Terrell Owens on the star, and he, as you know, celebrates. And that was interesting on Undisputed today. We had D'Angelo Hall, a Washington Redskin, Atlanta Falcon, Oakland Raider, and, of course, Shannon Sharp. That was 9:30 noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. And especially D'Angelo said, them is fighting words. Like, a brawl needs to ensue because you can't literally, figuratively, you're going out there and, forgive my language, you could say spit on it, but he peed on it. That's what he did, virtually. It's effectively just peeing on the star. That's what you're doing. You were saying, I have no respect for you or your symbol or America's team or your building or your owner or your tradition. He is just peeing on it at midfield on Monday Night Football on national TV. America's team just got peed on at midfield by Kevin Byard, who dared to call out Tom Brady last year. Do you remember this? Right before they played up at Foxborough in a playoff game, did Tennessee. And Kevin Byard, who just like Terrell Owens, he's from a small school in Tennessee and a third-round pick. He went to Middle Tennessee. Terrell went to, of course, Tennessee Chattanooga. I went to Vanderbilt, so I know that area. I know how it is. I've been to Middle Tennessee. It's a good school, good football school. But they come out of there like nobody really respects them, nobody knows them. And so Kevin Byard tried to talk his way into existence last year by virtually calling out Tom Brady with the line, we want to turn Tom Brady into Blake Bortles. And I got what he was trying to say, but it came across as trying to insult by far the greatest play ever. Still the best quarterback in the league today. And, of course, Tom Brady responded with, if memory serves, 337, 3 touchdowns. And it was 35-14 New England, because that's what Tom Brady does to people who dare to disrespect him, call him out, dare him, insult him, whatever you want to call it. But in this case, on that star, only one Cowboy responded, and it was just like in 2000, number 31, that was George Teague. Last night it was Byron Jones, and he comes kind of flying in and does a little patty cake push thing. I don't know. George Teague got a big piece of Terrell Owens in 2000. He got him good. He blasted him, knocked him off the star. The whole Cowboy team should have knocked him off the star. It should have been a brawl at midfield, and it should have been the positive turning point for the rest of the Cowboy season. It should have set off. It should have detonated the Dallas Cowboys. But their coach is so milquetoast. He's so vanilla. He's such a non-coach, Jason Garrett. I call him Coach Clap because all he does is just clap. He claps after fumbles. He claps after interceptions. And he continues to clap after the occasional odd touchdown. That's all he does is robotically clap. He's just a zero to me. His whole personality is mired in mediocrity. He's basically a 500 coach. He's a little above 500 because he had the 2 years, the 12-4 in 2014 and the 13-3 in 2016. But he's just flat. And his team came out flat. And his team didn't fight back on what Kevin Byard did to disrespect them. And I immediately tweeted last night, get mad and make him regret it. Make him eat it. And instead, they got flatter. I couldn't believe it. The defense that came in number one responded by letting Marcus Mariota go Tom Brady on them. They turned Marcus Mariota into Tom Brady. From that moment on, everything went south. Of course, that was 7-0 Dallas at that point. Could have been 14-0. Should have been 21-0. And there goes Marcus Mariota. My team, our team, if you're a Cowboy fan, was so inspired that Marcus Mariota started chewing them up and spitting them all over Jerry World. All over, just little pieces. This was the number one ranked defense in pro football, and it had no energy, no life, no nothing. It has played so hard up to this point, and it played zero ball from that point forward. Marcus Mariota went 11 of 14 on third down. How do you do that? Marcus Mariota will never have a better game. Shannon Sharp brought up today on the show that he did have a good game when they came back on Alex Smith in the first round, the wild card game at Kansas City last year. I'm vague on how it unfolded. They came back. He can have his moments. He's just not very good. And they turned him into freaking Tom Brady last night. I just couldn't watch it after a while because my stomach was turning. My guts were just roiling. They were coming up in my throat because it's the last, after I was so teased by what happened early when I thought, here we go. 21, no, it's not. 14, no, it's 7-0, and here they go, and it's 7-7. And then all of a sudden, it's 14-7. And Dak had one streak last night, one burst, one flash, in which he went, was it 73 yards in 10 plays to end the half? The last was the 23-yarder Allen Hurns. And you know what was happening? They took the guesswork out of it. They went up-tempo, no huddle, none of this second-guessing change in the play at the line of scrimmage. Every time Dak changes the play, it goes south. It just goes bad. Where I know he's trying to go Peyton Manning, and he's trying to get him in the perfect play for the perfect formation, perfect defense. You know, it just after a while, just run it. In 2016, they just ran it because they were better than you were. The line was going to win the line of scrimmage. Zeke was going to win, and Dak was going to win no matter who he was throwing to, whether it was Des Bryant, or Cole Beasley, who was just sensational in 2016, caught 75 balls, or obviously Jason Witten, way to go. Thank you very much for what you've done, Jason. Nice to see you honored last night. But all of a sudden, last night, when Dak just started rocking and firing and stepping into his throws and throwing with authority and conviction and decisiveness, boom, 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 touchdown, 14-all at halftime. And then the defense, obviously Tennessee deferred the opening kickoff, so they got the ball to start the second half. And the defense hung in and hung on and forced, dare I say, a punt? And Dak Prescott got the ball back, and it was the most pathetic 3-and-out I think I've ever seen in my life, because it's the moment where you take back over the football game, and it went sack, Zeke 0, Zeke went nowhere, no gain, sack, punt. And that's when Tennessee just said, we got this. And did they ever got this? And again, D'Angelo Hall on Undisputed Today, 9:30 noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1, said that he believes Kevin Byard ran to the sideline after nobody really challenged him for effectively peeing on the star, spitting on the star, disrespecting the star, that Kevin Byard went to the sideline and was just, this is just what D'Angelo thinks, that he's just yelling to his teammates, they got nothing. They didn't care. They're soft. They're cowardly. They let me get away with that. It showed you who they are and who they're not. And again, it's back to Jason Garrett. And again, there's one quick turning point. I just got to get this out of my system. After the turning point, the interception, then as Tennessee began to roll, this is right after the Byard celebration on the star. It's the second play of that drive. He pops it to his sort of fullback / tight end, what's his name, Luke Stocker. And Stocker caught the ball, and I thought he caught it, controlled it, made a football step with it, and Leighton Vander Esch dislodged it, and Dallas recovers at the Tennessee 48-yard line. And they go to replay. That was on the field. They called it a fumble. Recovered by Dallas. Darren Smith. And they go to replay review, and I tweeted, that was a catch and a fumble and a recovery by Dallas. And, of course, they overturn it, and I immediately tweeted baloney. And I'm not saying that lost the game, but it might have been a stay of execution, because here they would come again, and maybe Tennessee would start doubting itself, because that would have been the third turnover in a pretty short span of the game, and we're still fairly early in the game at that point, and maybe Tennessee would have rolled over and died at that point and said, this just isn't our night, it's not meant to be, because they're pathetic enough on offense without continuing to give the ball. That would have been a third giveaway to Dallas. Next play, Mariota fires one, Nerf footballs one into the flat on an out route, hits the receiver, I forget what's his name, Taylor, and he sort of catches it falling back on his butt on the sideline, but his feet are clearly down in bounds, and then he lands with his butt on the sideline, but both the feet are down and the catch is made before the butt hits on the sideline, and Jason Garrett challenges the play. And I only saw it once in real time, but I'm like, what? What do you see that I can't see? Well, nothing. And his faithful staff upstairs, somebody said that's not in bounds. Somebody said challenge that. That's foolish. That looks amateurish. And we've seen Jason swing and miss on a bunch of challenges. It's just another reason he's stayed too long in the job. And it just embarrasses me as a Cowboy fan. And the whole rest of the game humiliated me as a Cowboy fan, because Tennessee just took the whole rest of the game over. It left me devastated. It left me disillusioned. It left me disgusted. It left me in shell shock. It took me the rest of the night. I barely slept. I came home after Undisputed Day, and I slept for 2 hours, because I slept only 2 hours last night before I had to get up at 2 a.m. this time. And I'm having, this is a little bit therapy to me, because That was a low point to me as a Cowboy fan last night because it's all there for the taking. It's off a bye week, and that's what you give us. That team is beatable. That team was also 3-4, and I know they have a very good defense, and they're very well coached, and their coaching staff, their head coach, he's a stud. I like him. I'll take him over Jason Garrett any day. I'll take that coordinator, that chip off the Shanahan block. They did some nice things last night. They played hard. They were readier than Dallas was, and there's a lot of talent. The reason last night tore me apart, the reason my guts are still just ripped out from last night, is because they showed you early in the game flashes of brilliance. You saw what that team could have been, and I'm saying it in past tense because it's over, man. 3-5 is 3-5. And at the end of the night, I just thought 3-5 just says it all. That means you're a bad football team, and it is, because there's no intangible there. There's no confidence. They don't make the play at the moment. It's a fine line in the NFL, as you well know. You know, the worst teams, whoever you want to say, Tampa, San Francisco, whoever it is, any of these teams that have had major injuries, they can still rise up on any given Sunday, and win a game. So it's a fine line, but this team's got talent. We saw early flashes of what the offense can be. We saw real early flashes of what the defense can be. We saw the pass rush, and then the pass rush just disappeared. It went silent. Tennessee's offensive line started winning the line of scrimmage because Mariota had time, and then Mariota used his legs. And I've been pounding the desk on Undisputed week after week. You've got to let Dak run. They won't do it. Read option. Mariota killed us with a read option last night on a key third down play. He can run now. He ran 4.5 at the combine, so he can really run. Dak's more like 4.8, but Dak's, we saw last night, he weighs, I don't know, sometimes I say 250. I know he weighs 240 at about 6'2", and there's that one play where he just needed third down. He just gutted it out and went pile driving fullback. Just got it with his heart more than in his body, more than any speed or agility or ability. He can do that. He can take the punishment. He can give the punishment. It's part of his repertoire. You have to keep the defense more off balance. I have been calling for Scott Linehan's head for at least a month. I don't know what he's doing. I don't think he knows what he's doing. He's lost his way. Jason Garrett lost his way a long time ago. This whole coaching staff needs to be blown out. It needs to start over because they're pieces to the puzzle. DeMarcus Ware's a big-time player. Darren Smith's a big-time player. Byron Jones can be a big-time player. The whole defensive unit, it has ability. It has, on any given Sunday, cohesion, unity. It flies to the ball. I wasn't a big Van Der Esch fan on draft day because I wanted DJ Moore. Still want him. But he's got range. He's a long, rangy pass defender who can run to the ball, and he can hit a little bit. And we saw the last of Sean Lee. I'm the biggest Sean Lee fan, but he's got a just terminally defective hamstring. He just pulls it. It's going to pull from quarter to quarter like that. And it pulled again last night. Well, you just can't play. You just can't. God bless you, my man, but you just can't play pro football if you're going to pull your hamstring every other game. Like, I just wait from minute to minute during the game. How long will he last? So, actually, Leighton Vander Esch was an inspired pick because if you didn't have him, you'd really be in trouble. And they've looked at least as effective with Leighton Vander Esch, who can run a little better than Sean Lee can at this point in his career because Sean's just protecting his hamstring. He got beaten on the route down the middle, but what a throw that was by Mariota. He had time, and you want to talk about dropping it down the chimney, right down the chimney that featured 3 Dallas Cowboys, including Sean Lee. Well, what a throw that was. That was another big third down for, 25 yards? It was just killer. Just rip your heart out play. And yet, it starts with the coaching staff. This team has no faith in his coaching staff. I think this team lost a lot of faith in his quarterback, and I've been the biggest Dak supporter, as many of you well know. I just can't defend him. I said on Undisputed today, I can't defend him. He is regressing. He is losing confidence. You can attribute some of that to the offensive line play. They can't open holes. They can't protect. You can attribute that to having no receivers until last night who could actually separate. Will Amari start to change things? Maybe. I hope so. Jeff Swain was becoming a little bit of a target at tight end. Now he's gone. So there's obviously no Jason Witten in his prime. There's no Des Bryant in his prime. And that offensive line used to be the best in the league. And obviously they lost Travis Frederick. And God bless him with his condition, this rare disease that he's fighting with. And I don't know. I don't even know if he'll ever be able to play football again. And it was a huge loss because he's the quarterback of the offensive line. As you know, the center, he's the point man. And once you lose him, all bets are off. And they're just not very good. And then they wouldn't swallow their pride. And they stuck with Connor Williams at left tackle. He just can't win. Second round rookie. And they had Cameron Fleming, who was Tom Brady's starting right tackle all of last year. They did pretty well. They should have won the Super Bowl, scored 33 in the Super Bowl. And he was a nice pickup and signing by the Dallas Cowboys. And he plays none because they went with their man, Connor Williams. I'd rather see Lyle Collins at left guard. I'd rather see Cameron Fleming at right tackle. I've been pounding the desk for that for 3 weeks, but the coaching staff will not swallow its pride. Which brings me finally to what Troy Aikman said on radio in Dallas this morning, and I applaud and laud Troy for continuing to call out the Dallas Cowboys, and he was obviously a great Dallas Cowboy, and he's right. There needs to be a change from the top. This team is so close, yet so far away. Jerry Jones at some point, Stephen Jones at some point, need to back off and let somebody else try to rebuild it and run it. Do I see that happening? I don't. Could I see at least Jerry Jones firing Jason Garrett during this year? I could. Because the shock of shocks to me in the offseason, a very key move, it was the only move really that they made of any significance in the offseason, Jerry Jones cut ties with a young man who was like a son to him named Des Bryant. He whacked him. He sent him packing, and he should have, because Des Bryant was a shell of himself last year. Dak got way too Des dependent. Des led the league in drop passes. It was over for Des in Dallas. I haven't heard the latest. He's working out supposedly for New Orleans. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow. Maybe it's happening right now. Wish him luck. Don't see him fitting in the New Orleans system because you got to be a route runner and you cannot demand the football and you cannot get in Drew Brees' ear in the huddle and you cannot go to the coach throwing sideline tantrums saying, throw me the football. It just won't work there. I would think they would sign Kamar Aiken, who had almost 1,000-yard year 2015 in Baltimore. I don't think he thinks he's Des Bryant or any Brandon Marshall or, he doesn't have that ego or that baggage that he would bring, so I assume they would go in that direction. But the point is, Troy Aikman's right. Jerry needs to clean it out, pull back, and start over at the top. But if he did cut Des Bryant, here's what I think that, again, forgive me for I'm just calling it like I see it at this point. I see this team plummeting from this moment forward. The turning point was the end zone interception. That was the turning point in the year. I thought they could win the NFC East. No more. It's over to me. There's just no way. Philly's just better than they are. And here comes at Philadelphia, then at Atlanta, Washington at home on Thanksgiving. That's a 50-50 game. Alex Smith will be much harder to beat than Kirk Cousins was. Trust me on that. Kirk Cousins was 1-6 against the Cowboys. He was 0-4 against Dak Prescott. He's now 1-0 against Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. So that's a toss-up game. Then it's New Orleans at Jerry World. I don't love my chances. And then here comes Philly back to Jerry World. I don't love my chances. Philly's just too good, too hard-nosed, too tough-minded, too thick-skinned on defense. I know they don't have much of a secondary, but that front seven is just hellacious good and deep. And I just think they're better. I think Carson Wentz is playing at a high, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Carson Wentz is playing at a higher level than Dak Prescott is. Dak Prescott has plummeted to 25th in QBR. 25th. He went third as a rookie, fourth last year, now he's 25th. Of course, Aaron Rodgers is only 22nd, so he's not exactly setting his world on fire either. But neither is Dak Prescott. He is dangerously regressing. Things need to start fresh at the top. They need new view, new eyes, new vision, new direction. So I'm saying this team is plummeting toward 3-10. That's what would happen. If they lose their next 5 straight, obviously 3-10. I would think the pressure would be so intense on Jerry Jones in Dallas. I think he would be so ashamed, so humiliated. I think that would be the moment, the next day after falling to the Eagles at home. That Monday would be the day he would fire Jason Garrett. I'm a fan of Chris Richard. I think he's going to be a head coach in this league. He obviously is from the defensive side of the ball. He was the Legion of Boom specialist, coordinator for Richard Sherman and company in Seattle. And now he's sort of a co-coordinator with Rod Marinelli, though he has taken over more. And it just seems obvious. I don't want Scott Linehan to take over. I know he's been a head coach, not a very good one. I want all of it cleaned out as quickly as possible. I want Chris Richard to take over, and I want him to get a real shot at keeping the job. I know for a fact Lincoln Riley would be very interested in this. I can tell you 5 other pretty to very good college coaches who would be extremely interested in coming as coordinator or certainly head coach in Dallas. So it's a plum job. It's still America's team, but Troy Aikman is right. Now I'm forced into this position where I'm going to have to root against my team because I want it to crater. I want it to hit bottom because last night was everything I despise about the Jerry Jones regime. It was a big marquee night, Jason Witten getting honored. It's Monday Night Football, and it was an utter embarrassment. Lack of preparation, lack of energy, lack of passion, lack of urgency, just dead in the water. And that's exactly where this team is now. It needs new direction. It needs new voice. It needs new inspiration at the top. It doesn't need Coach Clapp anymore. This needs to go way south. Jerry needs to eat a whole bunch of crow. Steven needs to pull him aside, and as he says, he calls him Jerry. Maybe Charlotte, the daughter, needs to help pull Jerry aside and say, it's just not working. We need to go a whole new direction. I know he loves Jason Garrett like another son. Fine. Keep him on as an ambassador. Make him part of the front office. Do anything but let him continue as head coach, because last night was a resounding message. It's not working. We all saw the flashes of talent early in that game, and we all saw the result. It was my low point as a Dallas Cowboy fan. In all my years, obviously there have been higher stakes, bigger games, bigger moments, more magnitude. I mean, I'm going back through the late 60s and 70s. But as far as anticipation, as far as the division screaming, come and win me, Dallas, I hit bottom last night. And now I have no choice but to root for my team to hit such abject, utter despair bottom that Jerry Jones is shamed into doing something really dramatic. And it starts with firing Jason Garrett. I wouldn't mind seeing Scott Linehan fired during the year. I don't even care who calls the plays. I don't care. Just start it fresh. Get rid of the stench. Get rid of the business as usual, the vanilla, the here we go again. I'm just so sick and tired. I just haven't gotten over it. And it's going to take me a long time to get over it because this team had so much potential. And that was such a failure last night. So thank you for letting me share this. Thank you for letting me have my therapy session. I needed to come to grips with this. I think I have. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little more, if not a lot more. We'll respond to Troy Aikman's blast at Jerry Jones tomorrow on Undisputed. That's 9:30 to noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Thank you, Facebook. See you tomorrow morning.